Hello, party people! What's going on out there in video game land? What the fuck? Wow, I want to start over. That's terrible.
Okay, there, Captain N.
No, let's start over. Okay, this never happened. Yes, I'm leaving this in. Hello, party people! It's your boy Dre. Welcome back to Tom Clancy's Fine Time. Hope everyone had a good whatever. January, it's still January. Why am I wishing you had a good... God, can I do these better, please?
Listen, if I can give the just full disclosure for just a second, I've been so excited to do this second episode. I have not gotten up since the last one.
Wow.
I've just been here since just this whole time waiting to record episode 2 with you guys.
Did you just order? Did you insist the DoorDash person come and deliver you your food to your desk so you do not have to get up? Like,
well, no, I have a little hatch in the window, and they with a little basket and some pulleys.
How many Snapple bottles are hanging out around there?
Well, I the bathroom's right there. I just didn't leave the perimeter. I don't want to be too far away for recording for you at home.
I thought you literally did not get out of the chair.
No, that would hurt.
Well, that's Steve and Kevin, the comedy troupe of Steve and Kevin. It's your boy Dre here, of course, and I guess we're just going to... Wow. I mean, you can't do much better than that, but I'm sorry. Now I have to talk about Tales of Berseria. Sorry, everybody. Actually, I'm not sorry. I did really enjoy this game. God, I said last week after I was talking about Vesperia that I launched in Berseria, I was 12 hours in, and I was really enjoying it, and I was like, to that point where I'm like, please don't fuck it up, you know? This is kind of really the hope for once you start liking a JRPG, and they didn't fuck it up. It was really good. That doesn't mean that it was perfect or anything. Of course it wasn't. Has its fair share of flaws. A couple of them, I don't want to say glaring, but definitely flawed at points. But I really like this. I really liked Tales of Berseria because it's kind of a big turn for Tales. Like, everyone's talking right now about the new one, Tales of Arise, and now it has this like totally new, and I'm like, honestly, that just looks like the old anime stuff to me with the like a fresher coat of paint, because it's like, well, one, it's on PS5, two, it's like it has like a the shaders and stuff are all different. It's not your usual, like, I forget the Escaflowne artist that draws all the tail stuff too. I can't remember his name. Maybe Steve does, but like,
why would I know that?
Because we're the weeb boys around here. I didn't even bother to ask Kevin, you see? Like, why would I do that?
Uh-huh.
I asked you for support, and you gave me none. But,
threw me right under the bus for that.
I mean, sorry, I should have... You're right, I should have known that.
Well, I was waiting for DoorDash. I could have did research on some of this.
You're not going to bully me into this. I'm sticking to my guns. Anyway, the art is really different. It has this... it's a strangely weird, gothic, medieval world. Almost... I mean, I hate to say it, almost kind of Castlevania. Like, I say I hate to say it because I don't want to make such an easy comparison, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. But it's like the 2000s-ish kind of Castlevania. Think like Portrait of Ruin, or maybe like even Dawn of Sorrow. That kind of like hyper anime, but also like rooted in a very technological-less time. Like, the main character, Velvet, didn't even know what a compass was. I'll put it that way. Or she wasn't even aware there was lands across the sea. Like, that kind of, like, level of the world, if that makes any sense. Which, look, any JRPG is rooted in that kind of level of fantasy to some extent, but this is, like, very, I really like this game. Basically, the main hook is that the main character is not necessarily like a good person. That's great. Like, she's going to do... It's a revenge story, basically. And she's going to do whatever the hell she can and take out whoever she has to in the process. Even people who didn't really do anything to make this happen. That is great. You don't often see that in JRPG because I always want to moralize it. Remember Steve and Vesperia when Yuri offed a couple of very, very bad villains and they made it such a moral quandary? And it's just like,
Yeah,
no,
there was no
like,
moral quandary. All those senators got what was coming.
yeah, right? This game doesn't do that. Like, it is flatly presented as just like, this is what we're doing, you know? And I really just like characters who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Whether the ends justify the means or not, that's like the interesting part to you, whether you feel like they should be doing these things. But it really faces things that a lot of games of this type don't really face. But with that kind of tone, you'd think it'd be like super dark or like the game's rated teen. I mean, look, like I said, it deals with like exorcists and demons with an A, by the way, like Daemons is spelled that way, so you know what's
And they're
going
not
on.
gangsters or anything.
Oh my god, they should have spelled vampire. Like, you know, things spelled vampire with a Y. I don't know why I always think that's like
That's anime shit.
Oh yeah, exorcists who have like familiars and all the like you know, that kind of world. That's also why it gave me that little bit of a Castlevania vibe. But the battle system, like for a Tales game, yeah, it's real time. And I played the game before this, Tales of, I always say Zestria, but I don't think that's true. Zestiria. I thought that game
Just sound like
sucked.
vinaigrette.
That game sucks. Like, buy it if you must, Steve, on PS4 when it gets cheap or something if you really want to try it. And it always is cheap. I bought Tales of Berseria for like $5.99 a year and a half ago, and I'm just like getting around to it, right? Like they are cheap, right? Sometimes. I did not like Zestiria at all. Mainly because I thought the battle, you know, I understand Tales games always try to like innovate in this regard, and I like that because it's like it's been around for a long time. You want to try to do things as differently as you can every time out, but sometimes you just don't need to fix things that aren't broken. And one of those things is the battle system. Like Zestiria tried to like do something that was not necessary. This Berseria is really different too, but it's great. It's very quick, kinetic. It's also really easy. It also kind of falls into the trap of like, I'm just pressing a few buttons and I win. You know, you can kind of just mash on the same button and stuff will happen. It's a fairly resistance-free game. There are like maybe 2 battles in the game that might give you shit. I don't think I ever got a game over. Like, I died in Vesperia. I've died plenty of times in Symphonia. I don't think I died in this game. Like, you know, and I'm not saying that like a game like this has to be, you know, difficult for me to enjoy it. I mean, a JRPG should just kind of be a nice smooth ride. If it's difficult, fine. But this was not. And like for a something with a real time battle system, it feels a little different if it's easy, right? Because you're just going to a battle and you're smashing on a triangle or X or whatever you need to do. And that's kind of it. Anyway, there's just not a whole lot of strategy to it, which is fine though. The battles go fast and it's okay. The equipment system I really like. I really like when games do like the wear a thing long enough or level it up and then you get whatever power is in it permanently so you can take it off. You know, that kind of system.
Take it off.
Only like, you remember Steve and Vesperia, they made you spend some sort of stupid like points to like turn them on and off. This game doesn't do that. You can just wear them. They did away with that, thankfully. I hated that shit. Sorry to compare to Vesperia so much. I know there's a million Tales games. It's just that I just got done playing it, and it's my frame of reference right now. But also, like that game, Tales lives and dies by its characters for me. And this group of characters in Tales of Berseria, I really do like. Now, I don't like them as much as maybe some others. Some other Tales games, I mean.
Do you think that's just because you're talking about kind of the motives being a little bit more black and white? Do you, like was there just kind of a loss of emotional investment? Do you think is that why you like them less?
I don't think that's it. I feel like I feel like it's because tonally the game is a little strange sometimes, because like it's a very dark concept. Like this girl has an arm that turns into a demon arm. She straight up eats people, right? So I think they also tried to have like lots of light moments and humor. Like there's a witch character. Yes, she's like a straight up witch. Like and like she's like there, she has a lot of comic relief and stuff, and it just feels sometimes like inappropriate. I feel like they were trying to have the game not be too dark, and I get it because it's Tales of. At the same time, maybe they should have just leaned into it. I don't know. I think that's part of, I think it's not necessarily characters fart. It's not the character's fart. It's the it's tonally sometimes with the script they try, and that goes to the skits. The skits work in Tales, right? You're just walking around and it's like, oh, they want to have a little conversation about something. And then you do but the word skit implies that they're short. They're not short in this game, dog. Like sometimes they're really long, sometimes often too long. This is the only Tales game where I actually felt like they were too much. Because usually I like them and they're done in like 20 seconds or whatever. Steve?
Were they long enough for the screen to start going to sleep?
Oh god, no. They weren't like 10 minutes long. It's just that like you know what I mean? Like, okay, you know how like
certain games
every once in a while in other ones, like you'll run into a long one and it's fine. This is like they're all long. And then they go on about like stuff that's just not very, I don't know. This is the only one where I actually skipped a few of them just because I'm like, okay, that's enough already. Okay, I got it. Right. But then some are mandatory too, because they're kind of play out like a cutscene, which is fine too. But whatever, not a big deal. But I think really the thing that bothered me the most, and you could say it's not necessarily the fault of the game, but personally, I think it is. This is a PS3 game. I don't know if it came out on PS3 here, but it was planned as one, and it came out on PS3 in Japan. This is a PS3 game, and it fucking looks like it. Like, foliage will pop up, like, right in front of your face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff. Like, the resolution is real chunky, and it has that old, like, not anti-aliased like look as like old PlayStation games do until like PS4 and 5. You know what I mean? It's just not something they really prioritized in their hardware pipeline, and you can tell. Like, I guess it's not like a deal breaker or anything, but like, I don't know. For something like, it didn't even look as good as like Tales of Berseria from like the last year, which was also on PS3. But like it just didn't, I don't know. The graphics in this game were just, maybe it's just kind of like, I feel like this is made by the B team, and not like in a bad way. Like, but I don't know. They probably didn't devote the time that they did to some other Tales games, but I like this game better than like most recent ones. I'll tell you that one. I like this game more than Vesperia. I like this game more than probably most others. I really did enjoy Tales of Berseria. Anyway, if you haven't played this one, if you're a lapsed Tales person like I was until I started playing a few of them again, give this one a shot. It's really super different. You can always get it like really cheap. Also, one more thing before I shut the fuck up. Screenshots and like videos in this game are like entirely blocked. Like by the system. I have no idea why they did that.
I played this for a few hours last year, and I tried taking a few shots at the beginning, and I thought, oh, maybe they just don't want me taking shots of the anime opening or some shit. But no, it was for everything.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. I do they just not want people? Don't they get that? Look, I understand this is kind of a weird time with like the Japanese companies and like sharing stuff and streaming. You know how like Kingdom Hearts 3 had a whole thing of like, this is how you can stream this game, which I didn't read, obviously, but like, I don't know, weird shit, I guess. Anyway, that's really all I had been playing the last couple weeks. Right now I am in the midst of Ys 9. So certainly that'll be done by next time. And oh boy, I am having a great time. I can't wait to talk about that, but that'll be next time. So I guess, Kevin, what have you been playing?
Yeah, sure. Last time I had talked about playing Uncharted, and the best part of it being that it brought me to The Last of Us to give that another shot. And I think, Andre, you said you've played this before and you had some comments about it as well, hey? Okay, I feel like I'm a little bit more optimistic about it. I think what I mostly want to focus on is just the storytelling, because I really did feel that out of any game I've ever played, this game handles storytelling um, better than anything else, to the extent where I would say in a lot of ways it kind of exceeds what you can do with a movie. And that was something we always heard about growing up. Video games are going to be uh, storytelling like movies never can because of the nature of the medium. And I never really felt like that came to fruition, but I feel like I actually did see that in this game. A lot of that is, the cutscenes are great, but where I think a lot of that came from for me was just the natural conversation that these characters have, just as you're playing the game. And it's not always focus specifically on the task at hand or the greater story as a whole. It just feels very natural. Sometimes it'll just be a one-off conversation about something completely irrelevant that does more to build those characters' personality than it does to tell the story itself. And I think that in itself does really contribute to the greater storyline as a whole, by not having everything specifically relating to direct story beats. Even the violence itself, well, not necessarily a story thing. I think they handled that really well as well. It's very very gratuitous, but it doesn't seem over the top. It seems like it's just natural to the tone that world is presenting. Is that, would you agree with that?
I think I can agree with that. I think that's pretty irrefutable what you're saying so far. Yeah.
What didn't you like about it?
I hate those people, man. Like, I don't like any of those characters. I think they're all pricks. I don't really want to spend, and I'm not, I mean, look, the game's almost 10 years old. I'm not going to say what happens, but I thought it was the most callous ending I've ever seen in my life. Like,
Yeah, it is, but I like that. It was heavy, and it's real emotional, and I feel like if that story was told in a movie in 2 hours, I wouldn't have felt the same about that ending as I did, because that's, I don't know, a lot of times I hear people talk about, I don't want to spoil the ending of something, and then it was like Horizon. People treated that like the ending to that game was a big deal. And I felt like it kind of fell flat on its face. The ending to The Last of Us is pretty impactful. Yeah, those people are shitty, but I think at the same time, there's like, you can still empathize with them because they're shitty for a reason. You look at that world and what it's done to them. It's, I don't think it's by choice. It's not like these people went into this situation 20 years ago as shitty people. So I don't know. To me, that kind of added to it.
no, you're right. I mean, everything you're saying is correct, and I get why people like this game. That's just how I personally felt. And at the end, he's just sort of, I don't want to say like treated like a hero, like they make him dun, 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 you know what I mean? Like he's fucking Superman. At the
Mm.
same time, I don't know. Maybe that kind of story is just not something I want to personally play. Maybe, I guess that's really it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's definitely it's depressing, and it's very heavy.
But I
Um,
really respect it. I mean, I played the whole thing for a reason, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. Just I guess I probably shouldn't just yammer on about story the entire time and talk about gameplay itself. I talked about last year about playing Spider-Man, and it was kind of the first time that I felt like I was actually engaging with stealth gameplay, and this kind of furthered that. I've always really hated playing anything stealthily, but if you don't play with stealth in this game, like, you are almost fucked. You probably could just push your way through it, but I think it would be really difficult. Taking out enemies in using stealth in this game feels really really rewarding, and I think the other thing to it, I hate in any game. I don't think I've ever liked where they use ammo scarcity as a mechanic, and they definitely do that in here as well. So I think by using stealth, it kind of forces to alleviate that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I mean, I feel the same way about stealth too. I'm not a person who does that, so I agree.
There's something about it here as well, where it's, I don't know. A lot of times I feel like I'm just too impatient for stealth. But when you're playing stealthily in this game, there's a lot more than just crouching down and going slowly in one direction to make sure that you don't trigger a reaction from an enemy. There's a lot of thought that kind of goes into the plan of attack to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why I like doing it. Like, that's what I was saying. Like Far Cry games, I like to do stealth. It's one of the few games where I like to do that
Mm-hmm.
because of the options available to you. It's not like Metal Gear Solid. Here's your overhead. Oh, you better not trip this like hidden like tripwire. You know what I mean? Like, that
Yeah,
shit isn't
yeah,
fun to me.
yeah.
So, you know.
The only other thing I wanted to touch on, and it's probably pretty timely, there's a lot of rumors again swirling around about a PS5 remake, and I cannot think of a game that needs a remake less than this, specifically when the remaster just came out on PS4 last year. I think Shadow of the Colossus is a great comparison here, because that was essentially the exact same situation, where it came out on one generation, the next generation it was remastered, and the following generation it was remade. But I think for Shadow of the Colossus, just because of kind of the nature of the tech upgrades that were made from PS2 to 3 to 4 versus 3 to 4 to 5, I don't know. I see absolutely zero value in remaking this game. And I don't even know, like, to actually genuinely remake it, what could you even do differently that's going to substantially add something to it?
Nothing personally. Well, because like especially since I think Shadow of the Colossus PS3 wasn't like that big of a. I mean, it was, but you know what I mean. Like maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah.
comparing it to PS4 now. Like I'm not saying I didn't notice a difference when I played it on PS3 at the time because I did, but like that PS4 version exists for a reason, right? I don't think
Right.
we're gonna get
Yeah.
that with The Last of Us.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think even if they took The Last of Us 2 and did a director's cut or something like that, I would see a lot more value in doing that. And that's again, that's, yeah, I know they want to kind of maximize their return on investment. That seems just like a lot smarter way to go about it to me.
A- Absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of it for me.
Uh-oh. Steve, do you like video games?
Yeah, I even played one.
Just one?
Oh, I played more than that, but I last weekend I finally got around to sticking in the Switch and finishing Untitled Goose Game. You might remember from a certain, I guess they call them indie world, where they just ended the one time with, I guess you'd call them somewhat pastel colors of a little goose pissing off everybody and
Mm-hmm.
taking, just charming the internet.
Yeah, because everyone
And
understood the concept immediately.
because, like, if you've ever seen a goose, you're like, yep, we get it.
hmm
And I finally got around to playing it, and that was a heck of a 4.5 hours I spent. It was everything that you promised to be. You start the game, he pops out of the thing, they tell you to press Y to honk, and it's like, oh boy, we're getting into it. You swim across the water, and you start fucking around with the farmer. You piss him off. You try to take his keys. You try and drag some vegetables away from his garden. Drag the rake into the water. Try and get him to fall on his ass over the hose. That's just and then and that's just the first part. You move on to other areas like a street corner where you get a kid with glasses and you gotta try and shove him into a phone booth and while trying to get him to buy his own crap back from a lady on the street.
Wait a second. So, like, the goose gives his crap to someone else, like a middleman thief or something, like a.
Well, you're just a as far as anyone else in the game is concerned, you're just a goose. You're not like this major enemy. They just think you're very annoying and they want you to go away. So they're not giving you too much credit for anything you're doing. They just want you to stop whatever you're doing and like go away from them.
Shoe goose.
Pretty much, like you pick up a thing, and if they catch you doing it, they're like, "Hey, goose, stop doing the thing," and then they make you go back. Like the most violent thing that happens is in the second to last area game, you're like in an outdoor pub area, and there's like what can generously be called a bouncer, and if he catches you while he's on patrol, he'll chase you out of the of the pub, and you have to sneak your way back in.
So nobody has a shotgun is like going to hunt the goose or
No
anything?
one has a gun or anything like that. Everything's just like, come on, Goose, get out of here. Come on.
Don't be a dick. Yeah.
So it's very easy for you to just pick up a thing, waddle away, and set it down for someone else to find to do whatever they feel like they need to do with the item. And you kind of, they give you a checklist of hints of what you kind of need to do to piss off a set of people. And you do these things, and then eventually, and before you know it, the game's over, unless you want to kind of do extremely harder tasks that they give you after the fact, and that's not for me anymore because a lot of them are timed. But you already know if you want to play this game or not. Did anyone else play this besides me? I think it's on Game Pass, Kevin. Did you give it a shot?
It was on Game Pass. They took it off a while ago. I spent about 2 hours with it, and I did like it. I just never wound up going back. I I don't want to embarrass myself. I found that game got exceedingly hard, probably on the 4th level in. I found it pretty tricky.
Yeah.
You were at the pub then?
Yeah, I got because the one right before that is the one with the lady vendor on the street and the kid in the phone booth, right? Because I know I got past that one.
The one after that is you have the two neighbors. One's just reading the paper, and the other
Right.
is an artist.
Okay, yeah, I was on that one. I don't think I finished that one.
And you have to have the lady put the ribbon on you, and
Yes.
the other guy.
Yeah.
You have to shove everyone's belongings into the lake and not have them catch. It's goofy shit. And I was talking about this with friend of the show Trey, where this could have easily been a goat simulator situation where it could have easily been, oh, look at all the stupid shit the goose is doing.
I love Goat Simulator. What are you talking about? Goat Simulator is fantastic.
Yeah, but it also feels very disposable. This is mostly mostly grounded in reality. I say mostly because good luck with some of this shit if you're a goose in real life. But
Goat Simulator is the best sandbox game of all time.
I like Goat Simulator too, but I think Goose Game deserves a lot more respect than Goat Simulator.
This is not the direction I saw. Goose Game versus Goat Simulator. This is not what I had on my bingo card when I started the show today, but you know, what's on the docket for everybody? Like I said, I'm playing East 9 right now. Windjammers 2, as of this recording, comes out in 3 hours or something. I obviously, my loins are burning for that. But, I've been on this, I don't know if you guys noticed, I've been on this JRPG kick since, late last year, basically since starting Vesperia. And, even before that, I played all 3 games on the Collection of Saga, the Final Fantasy Legend games. I play, next on the docket, I'm looking at, Romancing Saga 3 or, I don't know, man. I'm feeling the JRPGs. Maybe this year my, games beaten list is going to be, 30 things, because I'll just be playing these, consistently. But that's the kind of mood I'm in right now.
Well, speaking of JRPGs, I did boot up... also started up Monster Hunter Stories 2, which, if you're sitting at home and you've seen, guys like me get excited for Monster Hunter Rise, and you're like, and, I've always been interested in Monster Hunter, but it needs to be a bit more colorful, a bit more weebish, and be a bit less complicated to craft things, and basically be a turn-based RPG. Have I got the game for you?
I mean, I can't tell if that's good or not. I mean, you listed all the features, and my brain just went.
I mean, I'm enjoying it so far, but it's the first part of the game, so I like to break up my RPGs into chapters so I don't get burned out on them too quickly.
No, I gotta power through. I gotta I mean, I'm not saying I never put stuff down. I started Tales of Berseria earlier this year, and I finished it late in the year. But I'm not saying that doesn't happen at the same time. I gotta I try to be consistent with it.
It is it is that much more impressive that you did that after the 3 Final Fantasy Legend games, because I feel like that would be enough that anybody would need to dump in some Goat Simulator or something a little bit more wishy-washy in the meantime.
Well, that's why well, yeah, but that's why I haven't played Shin Megami Tensei 5 yet. I don't want to play like a hard JRPG right now. I actually was kind of glad Berseria was like kind of easy because like, whoo, baby. So Final Fantasy Legends are no joke. Oh my god.
Even attention span wise, I feel like you've got to have at least 150% of the chest hair than you did this time last year.
I know, man. It's been rough out here. Yeah, I'll put myself through Shin Megami Tensei 5 soon enough, right? But like, God, maybe I should get that Catherine that's on sale right now, or or something, right? Jeez, something to break it up.
I can't wait for the late night texts of you. We're getting very, very annoyed at Shin Megami Tensei 5.
I feel like this game's really gonna piss me off. See, that's like also the thing, like not in a good way. Like I like challenge, but like, you know, at some point it's just gonna be like, do you want me to play a video game or not? Right?
Look, dude, don't you want to hang out with Gustav and all the money he fucked?
I mean, yes, but I don't want to like. Look, if you want to be in my party, fine. If you don't want to be in my party, fine. I'm not going to convince you. If demons, okay? If you want to come, come. If not, then just shut up. Right? Like that's what I'm not looking forward to, like to be honest. You know?
Yeah, definitely
like, I'm not going to beg.
Definitely need some Goat Simulator before that starts.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I gotta say, this was not where I was expecting my chat about Untitled Goose Game to go.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Which was good time had by Steve. Everyone should play.
I don't know why I haven't played that game. It seems like the kind of thing well, the fact that you said it's like 4 hours kind of makes me feel better. I mean, how much Goat Simulator? How much Goose Game do I need to really play, right? Ghost Simulator? Ghost Simulator. Ghost.
That's
Ghost. I'm just going to keep saying it. All right. I guess that's all we've been playing.
Hey, I got big plans for next show, but for now we just got to move on to, oh boy, stuff.
Yeah, we got to move on to stuff. Oh God. Yeah, I mean, remember like the halcyon days of like Sunday when we were sitting around like, guys, what the hell are we going to talk about? We got a show.
It sure is boring around here. My boy.
And we'll talk about it in a second. Be right back. Okay, we're back. And boy, the news of I was going to say news of the month because nothing's really going to top this. As we start our big questions here, big ass questions. Activision-Blizzard, bought by Microsoft, $70 billion with a B. I just can't believe it. I mean, this is really up there when we talk about acquisitions. This is an absolute, not just blindsider, but the magnitude of this is incredible. You really don't know where to begin. Fellas, you start where you want. I really don't know with this.
Remember 20 years ago when they bought Rare for $4 billion and that was a lot of money?
They spent $4 billion on Rare?
I think that's the number.
Oh my God. That is like $3 billion too much. Jesus Christ.
I feel like everybody just wanted to talk about our good friend Bobby K when this come up. That's what 90% of the conversation was online. Here's my hot take. I don't really give a shit about what happens with Bobby K, and here's why. I think no matter how you slice it, this is going to be good for the workers, and like going into this wasn't just a situation where there was like some unproven allegations or something. It was very clearly a shitty place to work, and the accountability came down specifically on him, regardless of whether he stays or he goes. For the people there, I don't think he's going to have the power to maintain that culture, whether he wants to or not. And financially, if they give him the boot, I also don't really feel like if he walks away with a giant package or he stays there and rakes in a bunch of money, the amount of money we're talking about is so substantial that I don't feel like it really is even going to have a direct impact on him. The only thing that can negatively happen to him is like legal recourse, and that would be fantastic, but I don't think the Microsoft acquisition is going to play a major part in whether that would or wouldn't happen necessarily. I don't know. I felt like the focus on what happens with him is it's kind of irrelevant to me. Am I wrong in that?
You're not wrong, because it was irrelevant before this happened, because it's like you said, even if he gets the boot from Activision, now it would be Microsoft, who cares? He's going to have a package of tens of millions of dollars. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, what does it matter, right? Like, I'm not saying it doesn't matter in the sense that, like, someone who obviously fostered this culture shouldn't be there or whatever. I'm not saying it doesn't matter in that sense, but just as far as like something bad might happen to him as punishment, nothing's going to happen to him, and nothing was going to happen to him before this anyway, right? So like, yeah, from that perspective, sure.
The only thing that could happen to him is if they stop dragging their feet and make Epstein's Black Book mean something. But I don't see that happening for a very long time.
The Black Book that's at the bottom of the sea in a JRPG ghost ship that will never be found in a treasure chest.
They all keep saying his name's in there, but I feel like they would have did something about that already. Who knows?
So here's my just personal take, and it's the thing that I've been thinking about the last 24 hours since this broke, 36 hours. The fact that this is being largely celebrated surprises me a lot. Like, considering what's been going on. Now, I'm going to make a sports analogy. Sorry, guys. I know you two don't do sports, but some of our audience does for sure, so this will make sense to them. For pretty much this entire NFL season, the Dolphins have been trying to trade for Deshaun Watson. Everyone remember that? Yes, the Deshaun Watson, who's been accused of sexual misconduct with multiple women coming forward, like over 20, saying, calling him over for massages at his house, inappropriate boners, the whole bit. Like, use your imagination. I'm not going to go into the whole sort of details here, but shit like that. He hadn't played this entire NFL season. The Dolphins had been trying to trade for him from the Texans. Just the rumors that the Dolphins were trying to do this sent everyone into a tizzy. Oh, the Dolphins can't do that. What are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like, such a bad guy, yada, yada. Just the rumors that they were trying to. It didn't end up happening. He stayed with the Texans, whatever. But just the talk, right? Imagine, I'm trying to think of a world in which we had heard about this Activision-Blizzard thing, rumblings of it beforehand, and us being maybe receiving this differently. Like saying, they can't do that. They're embroiled in controversy. And then if they do that, wow, what kind of look is that for Microsoft? Nobody is saying that right now at all. This is just being celebrated. I find that, like, really weird. That if I have any takeaway from the last 36 hours, it's that.
I don't feel like it is being celebrated from what I've seen that much. I feel like I would have thought that I feel like there's more scrutiny on it than there is celebration for it.
I mean, I've seen it from the Bobby Kotick angle, like the scrutiny, right? Like, what's going to happen to him? But that even just seems like more of a curiosity, like, ooh, what might Bobby, you know what I mean? Not necessarily like, yo, you guys are taking on a company right now that is like, you know what I mean? I haven't seen a whole lot of that.
I've definitely seen a lot just about kind of like where this winds up health wise for the game industry overall, and just like starting this precedent of just like hoarding content from a platform.
Wow, I want to
But
talk about that too, actually. But like, I don't know, like, I don't know. I understand, like, we follow different people. You know, the internet's sort of a curated place for your own self. Like, maybe I just haven't been seeing that stuff, but I don't know. I figured that would have been like the main topic, right? Just like it was with Deshaun Watson. Like, what are you guys even doing thinking about it? I figured that would have been the thing with Microsoft. They didn't think about it. They did it.
Oh, I think they did think about it, and that's probably what made it easier.
The fact that they're embroiled in controversy.
I think that an Activision that's doing okay in the public eye would not have sold to a Microsoft or anybody.
Are you sure? Because I feel like these things don't just come along. Now, the scandal has been
They
going
don't, but
along for a while. Don't get me wrong, but
I listen. I know these things take a while, but this broke out last June. I'm sure that whatever they were thinking, this made it easier.
I'm sure price wise it didn't hurt.
yeah. See, okay, let's talk about that. Like 70 bill, right? Now, this is the thing I talked about with the Bethesda, like, where I couldn't believe it just because, like, there doesn't seem to be any amount of money that isn't ridiculous that will make up for the fact that, like, Elder Scrolls 6 won't be on PS5 or whatever, right? That's going to surely sell tens of millions of copies on every platform. If you're removing that, you've got to make up for it. I guess $70 billion does, huh? Because there would be no number in my mind previously to be like Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, whatever, right? You name it. Diablo. Overwatch 2 not being on one platform? What amount of money could that be? I guess the amount of money is $70 billion, isn't it?
Unless it's not, and they really just want that Game Pass content, because I guarantee that Call of Duty's still going to be on both this year.
Then what's the point of buying the... See, I guess we're getting into, like, exclusivity stuff here, but, like, what's the point then? Why does that money just... Because Microsoft wants the money funneled to them no matter what platform they buy it on? Do they just not care if people buy an Xbox? Do they... I don't know what the play is on that if it's not exclusive.
I'm not sure what the play is either, but I feel like they've been losing interest in having exclusives for a while, but that's just me.
I don't know, Kevin, am I crazy? Like, I just feel like that's not, like, I don't get
I
it from that angle, I guess.
I don't know. I guess to me, I look at it as more of just a long term play. Especially coming out of getting destroyed at last generation. Um, I don't know. I don't think financially this was thought of what's going to happen with Game Pass over the next year or 2 years necessarily. I think long term having these franchises maybe sets them up to be just in a further position in the long run. Is that?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just keep thinking about it from the perspective of, they're always... Call of Duty still to this day is always consistently, like, whether it's like the best selling game of the year across all platforms, if not, you know what I mean, top 3 or whatever. Like, that's been the case for the last 15 years, right? So, like, eventually that has to end, though. Like, Halo
They
doesn't
also
top the charts like it... I mean, like, it's not that people don't hear about Halo, but you know what I mean? Like, at some point that goes away, and then what do you have? Like a $70 billion... I'm sure when they bought Rare that they thought, like, okay, yeah, we're not going to have Donkey Kong Country and shit, right? But at the same time, we can still utilize... That hasn't worked out the way they thought it would, obviously. So
Apparently there was a story there where someone did think they were getting Donkey Kong Country on there, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
I don't know. I also like we can't ignore the fact that Microsoft like has that fuck you money that Sony doesn't, and to some degree, maybe it's possible that this was just kind of like, puff your chest out power play. I like just as some element to that. Obviously, you don't spend $70 billion to be able to do that, but they can do that. Sony literally could not. I'm from what I've read, Sony would never be in a position to be able to drop $70 billion on a developer like that.
Nintendo could, but they would never.
Let me talk about Sony for a second, because the other knee-jerk reaction was, oh, Sony and Nintendo need to buy Capcom or Square or whatever else. No, you if you really go back and think about it, Sony already bought a big chunk of Square back when The Spirits Within failed, and they held on to that until a few years ago. I think they would have been in a very good position to buy them out if they really wanted to, but they didn't.
Also,
that either tells me that they don't want them or they can't afford them.
they can't afford them. I think Kevin's right. Nintendo could because they have more money than God, but they never would. But two things. I want to address things both of you said. Kevin, one, you're right. I think that Sony doesn't have the capital. They don't operate that way. And then Steve, with I feel like particularly the Japanese companies, Sony and Nintendo, they don't think about it as like that sort of acquisition because they bet on themselves. There's no amount of money that will buy you Zelda or, Wario, right? Like there's literally nothing they can do. There's no amount of money Microsoft can have that will give them the panache of having like a Nintendo Direct and everyone losing their mind, right? Nintendo has such a brand. It's the biggest brand in video games, and it always has been, still to this day. Even when Nintendo's bad, that's true, right?
The last company Nintendo bought was Next Level, and they only bought them because they were about to go public, and that could have possibly been bad, and they needed them.
Yeah, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? There's
no. I do. I'm just saying that's the culture.
I'm just saying. Ultimately, what I'm saying is this: Microsoft can buy every company under the sun. They will still never have that. They will never have like a Gran Turismo or Horizon Zero Dawn does for like Sony. You know what I mean? Like they won't. You can buy up all the companies. You still won't have that. There's just some things money can't buy. You still need to and if maybe it will look like buying all these companies like they have been for the last few years. Obviously, this is the biggest acquisition, but having something like that under your wing is great for them. Yeah, okay, so it's an exclusive home of Overwatch 2 or whatever. Fine, obviously that's a big get. Is that a bigger get than Splatoon 3 or something that Nintendo can develop in-house for themselves by themselves at a fraction of the cost that any given Call of Duty cost, right? That will make them a ridiculous amount of money. So if this is about making money, then I don't think that this ploy obviously doesn't work because they just spent 70 Bs, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling. I just don't as a long-term play. I'm just not sure what it does for Microsoft. I guess we'll find out. Right?
When you talk about the value of those other franchises, though, okay, you could make comparisons to, Zelda or Horizon or whatever. Well, Diablo, Crash Bandicoot, Call of Duty, maybe they either don't have the same relevancy as they used to, or in Call of Duty's circumstance, I think it's just in our circle, maybe that doesn't seem like as big of a deal as it is because that's just not where our head is at. But I think the value of those franchises, despite that, now that those are in-house developers, I don't know. Even you talk about the cost of development. I don't know that that's as comparing apples to oranges as you're making it out to be. Is that fair?
Yeah, maybe it's not. I don't know. I mean, you're right. It's I don't know. That's just the way I've been thinking about it. Just as thinking about I'm going to the store, I'm going to buy a Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, right? I'm going to pick one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not the people don't buy the absence of, I guess. It's Call of Duty used to be on both and now it's on this. Do you really think I don't know, let's say you're a PlayStation gamer, you really care about Call of Duty. Are you going to now buy an Xbox? I guess that's what I was just getting at. Is that a thing that's going to happen? Or are you just going to play something else? You're just going to, okay, I guess I'll just play Battlefield, right? We don't live in that headspace, right? So we don't know. So
I used to know people that would have followed Call of Duty to whatever it popped up on, but I can't say what they would tell me now.
yeah. I mean, do you
I
do
feel
you think that would happen, Kevin? Do you really think like, oh, I
I
got to
think
have an Xbox now to play Call of Duty? Like,
I think Call of Duty is a little bit of a hard comparison, and because I believe that Call of Duty is kind of in its twilight years a little bit. I think its popularity is quickly declining, and to go out on a limb, I think in 3 years Call of Duty is going to be much more unpopular than it is now. But I
ooh,
think if we make that same that if we look at this from the perspective of something like Diablo, yeah, I think that Diablo, there's people invested enough in that game or that series that they are going to come to Xbox, because you can't really get that experience somewhere else with that flavor. Call of Duty is a lot more replaceable,
hmm.
than something like Diablo is to me.
I guess ultimately you're right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like hard set on anything I've said about this. I've just been thinking out loud mostly. It's just very interesting. I guess we'll see how it all shakes out, but I'm very interested to find out, you
Before we
know.
move on from this, I've got I just kind of want to take it in another direction for a minute,
Mhm.
outside of kind of the financials of this, because I think, as much as we can from the outside looking in, guess at what may or may not happen. We don't have their team of lawyers and accountants, figuring out if Activision Blizzard is worth 9 Bethesdas or not. But from more of a emotional aspect, one of the things that I've been most thinking about since this happened, I always, and I don't know if this is just if this is more so me, but I feel like a lot of people do feel this way. That regardless of how long Microsoft has been in the business, I think a lot of people look at Microsoft as have bought their way into the industry, whereas Sony is looked at a lot more of like, despite going in as this behemoth of electronics company, regardless, that they were kind of this like scrappy company that like earned their way in, and
Mhm.
that's probably not even necessarily fair, because this was so long ago, and both of these companies have really developed their own identity, in the last 4 or 5 console generations. So it's largely irrelevant, but I think that stigma still does kind of stick with Microsoft, or
Mhm.
at least it does with me. And despite I think from a corporate standpoint, they're in probably the best position that they've ever been in. Maybe not as good as Xbox 360. Certainly sales wise, I don't think it's as much of a sure thing as 360 was at the time. But I think just like their initiatives and where they're going is in a better place than it's ever been.
Mhm.
But the thing I always still to this day, I love Phil Spencer. I think he's a perfect fit, and it's exactly what Microsoft needs. And I think he speaks very very well on their behalf. But the only thing that I always find myself picking apart when I listen to him is that I feel like they look at what they are putting their money towards developing on that platform based on like the specific ratio where we've done the investigation, and we know that 18% of players want to play first person shooters, and we know that 15% of players want to play adventure games, and everything's very structured where they try and like fill in their portfolio based on exactly what they've decided.
Mhm.
And I think that kind of further contributes to this idea that they've bought their way in, and it's this very like Microsoft outside of Xbox feeling, or way of looking at things to people. And
Yeah.
I think Activision Blizzard, like, you couldn't have like picked a better developer that would like further support that feeling. And it kind of to me, I draw um like a comparison to this trend we've seen where Fall Guys is big, so then all of a sudden 6 months or a year down the road we're seeing all these like cutesy multiplayer online platformers that are set up like a contest, or PUBG gets really big, and then we're seeing all of these last person alive arena shooters, or
Mhm.
whatever. And there's this like whole idea of everybody is kind of like chasing whatever the big thing is at the moment. But to me, like, what Microsoft really needs is they need to enable their developers to do they need to enable their developers to make the PUBGs and the Fall Guys in the first place, and take something that they're really passionate about and be able to, like, you know, give them the resources they need to bring that to fruition, rather than always like chasing where they think the industry is, you know, rather than where it needs to go. I don't know. This Activision Blizzard thing just like really amplified that feeling to me.
Yeah.
Kevin, that would be a good idea, except they tried that with Rareware, and we got Viva Pinata and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. So,
I
I like Viva Pinata too, by the way. But yes, you're right.
That was a long time ago, and that was in a very different setting. And I think at that time I think they were like actively resisting that idea that perception that they bought their way into the industry, or they wanted to.
But they have since the beginning. Well, think about the way that the generation played out. It was PS2 was king, and then everyone played for scraps. The GameCube outsold the Xbox, but the Xbox is seen as this up-and-comer, and the GameCube was seen as a disappointment, even though it sold more, right? That perception of it was weird, especially since it, like you said, it also has a perception of Microsoft, quote unquote, bought their way in, right? So it's weirdly both things at the same time. But yeah, I mostly agree with what you said. That's where we're at. It's gonna get real interesting though. It's gonna get real interesting. And also, just to top off what you said, let's face it, they've been in a Halo, Gears, Forza rut for a decade.
Yeah,
with their internal studios. They have been.
I think in the last year they have shown that they're like actively working on breaking out of that. I think they've identified that as a problem. I feel like that is going away to a large degree.
I hope so. Because like that's when I think of like the Xbone era, that's all I think about. Right? Like so, and why shouldn't I? That's feels like that's all there was.
Well, and not even the fact that they were like pushing those franchises over and over, but with the way they were pushing them, it was the same shit over and over as well. It's not like they were like reinvigorating those franchises.
Yeah, Halo 5, more Halo, which is great. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like
Halo 5 was not great.
Well, which is great for people who want that. That's I haven't played Halo 5, obviously. I'm just saying that like if that's what you want, that's great. But, you know. But, shit, unless you guys have anything, I guess we can move on to something semi-related, Steve, kind of.
I mean, if I knew what was going to happen the next day when I put this in, oh boy. About a week ago, LEGO announced that the Overwatch 2 set would be put indefinitely on hold as it reviews its partnership with Activision-Blizzard. This was like about a week before yesterday where you know the world turned upside down with the buyout.
Isn't that incredible?
So I guess the real review is, so are they going to get rid of Bobby? We gotta I guess we'll hang on to all these sets and we'll hang on to these sets in the warehouses until they until all this blows over, because you know this isn't the Amico situation where like, oh yeah, we got these, this is ready to go next month. No, if LEGO says something's ready to go next month, it's waiting to. These sets exist.
And they might exist if they get put on the internet, some shady corner of the internet, right?
I guess what I'm really getting at is, has anything like this ever happened before? Because Overwatch 2 doesn't even have a release date yet.
I mean, God, just thinking about the Microsoft thing now, they're really gonna like put that shit. You guys better, you know what I mean? They want return investment. They're not going to let Blizzard dick around with Diablo 4 till 2025, right? Like, you better. I don't give a fuck what state it's in. You guys better get that shit out here.
This
right?
is a terrible comparison, but my wife, she drinks Monsters like all the fucking time, and Halo Infinite was like branded on Monsters since well before the Series X launched, well before they announced that they were pushing it back, from the day one launch. And they continued doing that entire time through the launch of Series X, all through like the majority of last year, and then like 3 weeks before Halo Infinite launched, all of a sudden Monsters had Apex Legend branding on them.
Oh my god.
So I'm just saying, I guess if we're talking about like now Microsoft being in control of this franchise and them wanting to like, kind of boost it through third-party items or whatever, they don't have the greatest track record if we're looking at Monster Energy drinks.
I'd say that counts, but
don't everyone remembers Halo Mountain Dew though, right? Like, remember the Halo flavors? Remember? Am I the only one who remembers that shit?
I don't remember this.
Was it a flavor or was it just Master Chief on the?
There was like a Mountain Dew, like there was like around like Halo 3 time. I specifically remember like Halo flavors of Mountain Dew, and like yes, Master Chief was on there because of course LOLs, right? Like Doritos, Mountain Dew, Xbox, right? I mean, of course, right? But like, I can't be the only one who remembers this. You guys are looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. Like I swear to God,
I'm really curious.
I remember this campaign, but I don't remember Master Chief soda.
Yes, I swear it was blue.
Master Chief mango, and
I wish I could tell you more, but I don't like Mountain Dew, so I didn't like have it.
And Plasma Sword Passion Fruit.
You mean Star Gladiator 2? I don't know, man. I think what like this Lego thing is now out the window. Now that Microsoft, apparently no one gives a shit anymore. So now that like this Microsoft thing has happened, Microsoft is gonna want these like, I don't know. I mean, I guess like a lot of deals fall by the wayside when like acquisitions happen. So like, I'm not saying this would have, whether Lego canceled them or not, but like these are coming out. They made them and they're coming out. Like retail, not like through some shady back deal shit. Like they're happening.
It's also interesting to note that all of the Halo, quote unquote Lego is actually Mega Bloks.
Mega Bloks.
So maybe the Overwatch stuff has been canned, and we'll see Overwatch 2 Mega Block sets come out in 6 months. I don't know.
They're happening though. Maybe they aren't canceling. I don't know. I feel like it's going on. But so next big question. Next big mess. So the Dying Light 2 Twitter did like a really funny thing. They tweeted, I'll just read it verbatim. They tweeted, to complete Dying Light 2 Stay Human, you'll need at least 500 hours, almost as long as it would take to walk from Warsaw to Madrid. And then they had a graphic in this tweet that says like 500 hours to complete the game, 530 hours to walk from Warsaw to Madrid. This was not the flex they thought it was. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. A follow-up tweet right after that claimed that the game would, quote-unquote, only be 70 to 80 hours if you just did story and side quests. But you can't make the big graphic. Anyway, but then like the next day they tweeted this. We want to clarify our recent communication about the amount of hours required to complete the game. Dying Light 2 Stay Human is designed for players with different gameplay styles and preferences to explore the world how they see fit. And so then they put up a new graphic that says 20 hours, the time needed to complete the main story, 80 hours, time needed to, story and side quests, and then they have the 500 hours thing. So my question is, what the fuck were they why did they think that was a flex? They shouldn't. Okay, like, I know they made the follow-up tweet, but you can't make the big graphic that says 500 hours and then say, to fully complete Dying Light 2 Stay Human, you'll need at least 500 hours. That makes it sound like you need to play for 500 hours, right? Like, is there anything that's worth that?
I don't know fuck all about Dying Light, period. Is there like a big community of...
The game's been done for 2 years. But the supervisor came in, and they just caught them all snorting coke the whole time. And they're like, oh my god, we need to justify all this extra dev time. What do we do?
500
Thus
hours.
the graphic was born.
How long does it take? Look up how long it takes to walk 500 hours somewhere. And make a quick graphic. I'm sorry. I don't know.
How else does this happen?
I just wanted to bring this up just because I thought it was just like, it was such a weird, like, the ultimate weird flex, but okay. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, do you want to play Zombies for 500 hours, Kevin?
I don't really want to play anything for 500 hours, to be honest.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm trying to think of the games I've played that long. It's very, very few.
Last year, I finished all 4 campaigns of Fire Emblem Three Houses plus the DLC, and I capped out at around 240 hours doing that.
I played 1,300 hours of Super Mario Maker 2, but I'm crazy, right? Like that's like one game, right? Like and it's not like Zambi running around. Like it's so fucking passe, man. Like, are we still doing the Zambies? Like, does anyone care? Okay, story time. In 2008, there's an electronic group I like. There's a duo from the UK. They're called Evil 9. I really like Evil 9. In 2008, they put out an album called They Live. It's a zombie concept album. Like, there's a big hand on the cover coming out of the grave on the front. It's very cartoony. They live with an exclamation mark. There's the title track, They Live. There's songs called How Do We Stop the Normals? Like, it's all about zombies, literally. It's an album about zombies. And I thought to myself at this time, this is it. This is peak zombie. There's nothing else that can be, it's on the downhill from here, right? And then The Walking Dead happened. And then, like, Days Gone happened. And then, like, Dying Light happened. And, like, we're still doing the zombies. And, like, Last of Us happened. It's kind of incredible how this still persists. I thought everyone would be done by now. And shit, like a year after that record, like the zombie island of Dr. Ned happened in like Borderlands, right? I'm like, this is peak zombie.
Well, I'm sure that album wasn't 500 hours long, so I guess everybody needed some more.
Yeah. Apparently we're not done. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. Speaking of zombies, and Days Gone, the director of that game, Jeff Ross, he got like real salty on Twitter over Ghost of Tsushima because they announced that it like broke 8 million copies sold. I don't know if Sony announced that or whatever, right? And then he like quote tweeted the article and he said this: at the time I left Sony, Days Gone had been out for a year and a half and sold over 8 million copies. It's since gone on to sell more and then 1 million more on Steam. Local studio management always made us feel like it was a big disappointment. End quote. Does this guy have a right to feel this way? Because I kind of feel like this is just sour grapes, but what do you guys think? Like, would you feel that way if you were him? Like,
I don't know. I'd need a little bit more context if what he's saying is, I don't know. If it went down exactly how he's saying, I feel like I would maybe be a little bit salty.
If management got on my case for only selling 8 million copies of something, yeah, I'd be pretty mad too.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't realize that it's not the amount of copies sold, that it's fucking zombies versus like feudal Japan. People are tired of that shit. And when like Days Gone was revealed, it's like, oh man, are we really doing this again? I mean, I wasn't the only one, right? Like, do you remember that conference when it was revealed? Everyone was like, really? Okay.
Yeah, but if we're talking about studio management having an issue, if they would have had an issue because they're doing zombies, they would have had that issue when development started, not like making them feel it was a disappointment. This seems to me more of a sales thing rather than a genre thing.
But how do we know that like they're not doing the same to the Ghost of Tsushima people, right? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe they are, right? Like, everyone makes everyone feel like shit. Oh, this has got to sell more, right? Like, I feel like that's kind of how this shitty industry works sometimes. So he's making it sound, I don't know, maybe I'm just reading too much into it. He was kind of making it sound like, oh, I'm the one being shit on, but like, this is okay, it's being celebrated. No, nobody's celebrating Days Gone because no one cares. Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. I'm just saying that, like, no one really has, like, much of an affinity for that game. I hear people talk all the time about Ghost of Tsushima, no matter how many copies it sold, you know?
Hey, I got Days Gone on PS Plus. Maybe I'll try it sometime. Maybe.
I know they like upgraded it for PS5. Like, maybe if I get bored enough someday, I will. I don't see myself doing it, but I don't know. Anyway, I think that's enough of our big ass questions. We'll be back with a couple games of some other stuff. Be right back. Alrighty, I feel refreshed. You guys feel refreshed? Down below.
Oh, I don't know what you did on the break.
You mean you don't feel fresh down there, Kevin?
Not
Yes,
refreshed.
Not so
Don't-
fresh feeling.
don't- Turn this around on me.
Sorry. I didn't mean to.
Oh, Kevin, just too young to catch that one.
We'll tell you when you're older. Okay, random kind of thought here, because was talking about it not too long ago with some other people. What is your favorite final round of a game show? Like the where you win all the big money at the end because you're last one standing? Because mine, and always has been, and probably always will be, is Pyramid. Attach whatever number you want to that. $25,000 pyramid, $100,000 pyramid, doesn't matter. That shit is like tense, man. And you gotta there's stuff you can say and can't say. If anyone out there is younger, have never seen the pyramid before, obviously I grew up in the Dick Clark era of Pyramid. That shit was the best because you and your partner had to be in sync, right? You couldn't break the rules, you couldn't say it was great. I love that shit. Whenever I think of that to me is the final round to end final rounds of game shows. What do you guys think, Steve?
I know I'll probably be teased for the basic bitch answer, but I'm never going to watch it again because he's passed now. But I liked Final Jeopardy, the end of Jeopardy, where you have to bet on yourself in the last round to get the right answer.
See, I don't like Final Jeopardy because it feels like a formality at the end. Here's another question, but you're already doing the betting on yourself with Double Jeopardy and stuff, right? Or not Double Jeopardy, Daily Double or whatever it's called, right? So
yeah. I mean, it really depends on how well the show was good the show was before that, but I guess as a dysgraphic person, which if you're not at home, that means I can't write very good. I liked looking at how bad everyone else is writing, good or bad everyone else is writing.
It made me feel great. It made me feel so. My handwriting isn't great either, and that shit made me feel so good.
like half the time, I was like, you didn't know the answer, did you, there, buddy?
I like when they write "what is?" question mark or something.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna give Final Jeopardy a little more credit. Okay. I mean, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Though it feels a bit okay, here's one more question, I guess. But
I don't watch a lot of game shows, and the ones that were going on when I was growing up, came and went. There was Millionaire, and oh my god, what was the other one? The Weakest Link. Remember that shit?
Yeah, the Weakest Link isn't bad. Kevin, which one do you like?
Well, both of your guys' answers pale in comparison to mine. The factually best final round of a game show is Family Feud, and here's why. The whole show is great. Family Feud is fun to play along with at home, but then when they get to Fast Money at the end, it's like the orgasm of a show. They take all of the content you just watched for 20 minutes and then do it again and cram it into 2 minutes. It's I don't know. It's exciting. It is literally the orgasm of the show.
It's a really good final round.
Choice.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's the best final round in my humble opinion.
Can I say that ever since we had a weird period in the 2000s where Al from Tool Time hosted Family Feud, and then
I remember that.
but and then we had Louis Anderson, which I completely forgot about. But Steve Harvey, man, he is the absolute best. Steve Harvey is fucking incredible. That man was born to host Family Feud, and he did stuff before that. But I'll never get tired.
Still doing Family Feud?
He's still doing it. When he's just the best. When anybody gives some bullshit answer, he just looks at them what the fuck? It's so good. He's great. I don't know.
Al Borland never had the stones to treat somebody like that.
No. He would never side-eye anybody for saying a stupid answer. It's good. Anyway, but okay. So we're gonna try a new game here. Kevin conceived a game. Speaking of game shows, so he's explained it to me like 7 times, and I'm not sure I totally get it. But
all right, bear with me. I've been looking forward to this for weeks, and I think this is going to be fantastic. So it's called the Video Game Rorschach Test. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's like the ink blots, and you look at it and you know, okay, what do you see in this picture? Now, this game really actually kind of has nothing to do with that. I just thought it was kind of a clever name. But I've got a handful, or more than a handful, of images that I've put into this app, which it generates images based off the keywords you give it out of AI and spits something back at you. So I've selected a number of ones that I feel like should be fairly easy for you guys to get. And so it's either going to be like a character or a franchise or a specific game or whatever. They're all obviously video game related, and see which ones you guys can guess. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, for a listener at home, that's not as exciting because it's a very visual game. So I have taken the liberty of stitching these together into a few images that I'll dump up on the Find Time tweet when it goes live. And then anybody that's listening can play along at home and look at these images.
Okay. So should we say, if me and Steve look, should we say what they think they are out loud, or should we like?
Yeah, I think it can just be a race to see who can figure these out first, and I think for the most part, it's not going to take too long.
Okay.
Because some might be a little bit tricky, but for the most part, I think you'll get a laugh out of them. Because, well, let's give it a shot. Has everybody got their Discord open and I'll
yes,
start dumping images in here?
I'm ready. I'm actually, so speaking of pyramid, I have my iPad open and it's angled towards me. Like how you know, they have a little screen on pyramid because they have to give the clues to the other person that the other person can't see. I'm doing that right now. So I'm the clue giver.
All right. Well, image number 1 is coming through right now.
Okay.
All right. Image number 1 is live.
Okay, this is weird. So, wow, this is like to me it looks like a torso with a hand coming up to like a big old red paintbrush. Someone imagine like, so instead of like a warrior with an axe, it's a big red paintbrush. This is wild.
I think a lot of these you're going to have to go on color.
Man. Well, that's a good hint. Steve, I'm stumped on this one. This is...
Did you throw up on a God of War screenshot?
There you go.
See, I'm feeling Kratos-y, right? I'm feeling Kratos-y.
That's it.
Oh, it is? Okay.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. All right, the next one has got a fairly obvious hint in it, and I think you're going to get a giggle out of this one.
Okay.
Well, obviously it's Star Fox.
That is indeed Star Fox with the small face of a literal fox peeking out of there.
Yeah, it has like, imagine if the R-Wing had fur, like on it. It is literally an R-Wing with fur. That's incredible.
There's also, it's kind of cool, there's also like different animals in there. I'm sure I can see like a bird beak on the bottom of that ship and maybe like a frog's eye at the top.
Yeah, I was gonna say the eye is like really like killing me right now. Like that's what I saw first.
We're getting canceled for sure.
All right. This next one might be a little bit nightmare fuely.
Okay. Oh Lord. Oh God. What is this?
Why would you do that to Pac-Man?
Oh, Steve's killing it.
Yeah, see, I feel like I knew this was gonna happen.
Got run over by a bus.
I knew this was gonna happen. He's gonna get every fucking thing, and I'm not even gonna have a chance to open my goddamn mouth. I knew this was gonna happen.
I will shut my mouth for the next one.
No.
The next one's real easy.
It's funnier. Oh God, what is? What? Okay, I can't even describe this. I would love to for the people at home, but like, man. This is a Wario cosplayer, right? That was like...
This is Wario.
Okay, yeah, but like, it looks like someone's Wario... Wario cosplayer graffiti, like, on a wall.
He's got the hard hat, so it's either one or Virtual Boy, and I couldn't tell you.
Also, I didn't really get to talk about Pac-Man's eyes are very beady and creepy. Like those eyes are not right.
Kevin, where'd you find this shit?
Oh, these are all. Nobody else has ever seen these images. They'll never be produced again. All right. This one I was really happy with how it turned out. It might be a little bit tougher, but it's
Ooh.
definitely fitting.
I think I understand what this is. I think. This is wild. So it's like it looks like a Monet of like Shadow of Colossus or something.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
There you go.
Wow. I was going to say it looks like that. I wasn't sure that it was that, but I guess it is.
Bingo.
Wow.
All right, number 7.
Steve, describe this in 10 words or less. Come on. Give it to me.
Still better than Final Fantasy VII.
Still a better love story than Twilight.
So I haven't been keeping track. Are we scoring here? I think Steve's
No.
We're
We're just.
by
I
a
don't
little
care.
bit.
Yeah.
All right, number 8.
Oh my God. This is unexpectedly entertaining. I gotta tell you. Don't take that the wrong way. This is like, geez.
Doom, right?
Yes.
Is it Doom? Okay,
It is.
see, I was gonna say Metroid because it looks like Samus like spliced with a Chozo, which she very well may be anyway, but this
Right.
like literally looks like that happened. Or maybe Samus and Master Chief fucked. I don't know. But like and this is their like non-binary child or something. Like this is really
There's
If
a lot
I
of
saw-
lava in the background. I feel like that lends itself to Doom.
yeah, but it could be Norfair.
Oh,
That was my thought. Maybe just because Norfair is my favorite area in the I don't know, whatever. Anyway.
okay, number 9.
Huh. Steve, what do you think? Because I feel like this is kind of Skyrim-y. No? But I feel kind of open-worldy.
Is it Red Dead-y?
It is Red Dead-y.
Oh, it's Red Dead-y. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. All right.
I can imagine that in the foreground being a horse.
What does all this say about me that I'm getting all of these?
That you like have fever dreams of like I don't know.
Do I need to see a professional?
I knew you would crush at this game. Oh, God.
Because you people at home, some of these are just.
I mean, I'm trying to describe them the best I can, but like.
Well, this is an excellent reason when the show goes live to visit the Fine Time Twitter, which is Fine Time Podcast.
It's Fine Time Podcast. Yeah, go to Fine Time Podcast. We'll have all the images for you. In the meantime, I hope you're just enjoying us looking the theater of the mind here.
Okay, number 10.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's a Metroid.
The
yes. Samus there.
That's
Are you
Samus.
sure that's Samus? Because that looks like a. I mean,
it's
if that's not Samus, then who is it? What are we doing here?
It's the view with her shoulder covering her face. I'm guessing.
She clearly has a very, very, very big cyst that needs to be taken care of. Look at this.
Yeah, and we did in Metroid Fusion, remember?
All right, I got to move on to the next one because this is one I've really been waiting for. If anything's going to give you nightmares, it's this one.
Oh, Jesus
Bad
Christ.
Kevin, bad.
Oh, my God. How did... Okay.
This still isn't the most terrifying Pikachu I've ever seen.
I mean... This is wild, man. This is like... What? Like Picasso Pikachu right here? Like, this is something.
Oh, yeah, you can kind of see like his eyes and his nose and his crotch, I feel like.
Yeah. No, this is Pikachu, no doubt. That's the vibe I got. But
then the cheek dots have turned into like a skull face on top. I don't know. I don't like it. He freaks
you know
me
what?
out.
I like this more than the Samus is like really frightening. I don't like that at all.
I don't
That's like
know.
a Silent Hill monster. Imagine if Samus was a Silent Hill like monster. That's what that shit looked like. Anyway.
I don't know. I'd rather wake up next to that than that Pikachu in my bed. Just saying.
I'll take Samus. Sorry.
Okay, number 12.
Crashed Bandicoot over here.
Yeah, but you gotta tell the people this looks like a
He crashed into the wall.
hip hop graffiti. Like, why are so many of these look like graffiti? That's what I'm really like. It's amazing, right? Like
He ran into the wall and he smushed in there and it's like, hey.
yeah, but like one part is like this is scarier than Pikachu. This is actually like okay. You know what? It looks like he was spliced with like the mask that goes ooga booga, right? And then like someone like put those two concepts together on this wall in the middle of downtown San Diego.
Kind of cutesy. I don't know. I don't think that one's disturbing.
It's a little weird. The teeth actually is what really freaks me out down there.
I don't like that. He's smiling.
I can just hear him go, wow, like right now. Like I just don't. I don't like it.
So happy to see you.
All right, this one might be a little trickier.
Ooh, interesting. Oh, I think I know, but I have an idea anyway. Steve, what do you think this is? Because I think I know. It's like martial. It looks like a martial artist, sort of, and it looks like it's sort of like in a dojo.
Could be a bunch of things.
I feel Street Fighter.
It is Street Fighter.
Yeah, see, I felt like kind of Chun-Li-ish, right? Like
in Fei Long.
Well,
especially with the colors.
Yeah, and I feel like the guy at the bottom is Fei Long, almost, maybe.
Yeah, with the colors, I was thinking Final Fight. But Street Fighter's in that same family.
Yeah,
so.
see, yeah, basically.
I saw all the other fighters, and I'm like, this could be a beat 'em up.
Street Fighter.
You could see 89. That. I also feel like you could see like a horse that's on fire on the top, so it's pretty open to interpretation.
This is a wild one.
All right, number 14 is easily my favorite out of any of these. I thought this one came up really interesting.
All right. Oh. Huh. This looks like Google Maps on the edge of the earth here.
Oh,
to
it kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it supposed to be SimCity?
It is SimCity.
That's what I was gonna say.
But it really looks like SimCity.
It really does look like SimCity. Yeah, really. This is cool. Like this is actually. I like this.
Well, I feel a little bit redeemed because I could tell that there was some like Kevin's got a stupid fucking idea, but let's humor him.
No, I'm enjoying this. I feel like honestly, whether you see these images or not, people at home, I feel like you're having a good time. I'm deciding that you're having a good time for you.
Laugh.
This one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is number 15, right? Oh, geez. Okay, well, clearly, this is the canceled Wii U version of Zelda before it became Breath of the Wild, right? Like, nobody remembers that, by the way. Does anyone remember that demo? Like,
of course I do.
Yeah, but like, that was not Breath of the Wild. So what was that? I don't know. Anyway, that's another topic.
I don't think it's this, but
yeah. Well, I don't know. That's the vibe I'm getting here.
This is Ocarina of Time Zelda, but I don't know what the rest of this is.
I don't know. It feels like she's like. It feels like a stage play. Like this is obviously a Triforce curtain in the back here. Like a crappy mid-sized city like community center set, right? Sure. I mean, like that's the vibe I'm getting here. I don't know why I made a whole story for this.
I thought this was more of like a bedroom with the like fancy beds with the like curtains that go all the way around. I feel she's got like Triforce curtains around her bed.
Oh,
like if anybody's got Triforce curtains, Zelda's got Triforce.
Like one of those like Middle Eastern setups or whatever, like where it's like hot, so they have like the
That's where she is.
Okay, I buy that.
All right, and finally, number 16.
Oh, wow. That's more entertaining than the game itself. I think. If I'm right,
That's
anyway.
a very mean thing to say to Beautiful Joe. Right?
It is Beautiful Joe. I thought Andre was a big Beautiful Joe fan.
I am not. I don't like that game at all.
I was sure we had that conversation.
I like everything about Beautiful Joe except the game. Anyway, but
don't worry, Kevin. Steve is normal and likes Beautiful Joe.
I don't think Kevin likes Beautiful Joe either.
I put a couple hours into it one time. I didn't think it was
Don't worry,
horrible.
listeners at home. Steve is normal and likes Beautiful Joe.
Man, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I like
probably a little bit more than needs to be.
Yeah, actually, to me, it's not enough going on there, but that's another topic for another day. This is really fun. We'll definitely have to do this again. I'm gonna admit, I was very skeptical of your of your idea.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad it panned out well.
I'm not entirely sure what this was.
These are really, really hard actually to come up with ones that make sense. Like I put in Sonic probably 10 times and it was completely unrecognizable. I've got 8 more that are ready to go for next time, and then this game may be retired forever.
Because they're really hard to do. But like, here's the thing though. I feel like you could like do repeats. Like I feel like you could keep doing Street Fighter and like,
for sure.
You know what I mean? And get like wildly different images. I don't feel like they have to be different things every time.
That app is kind of interesting as well, because all of these I didn't do any, I don't know, filter isn't the right word. They have kind of like specific themes that you can turn on. All of these have just like the normal theme turned on, but you can have it like a steampunk theme or whatever, and it'll kind of make the like a similar image, but it'll like apply like a steampunk setting to it almost.
Okay.
So yeah, we could probably come up with some other ones, but
all right. So on our previous stop, we did something a couple times where we espoused our very unpopular video game opinions, and I really like doing that. Then we got away from it for some reason, and I want to bring it back because I like being controversial. I like being a contrarian. I like when the people, I don't know. That's why I dunk on like Super Mario RPG every 3 months, right? It's just, it feels good for my soul. Just sometimes I need that. So we're going to do that here. Not about Super Mario RPG, or at least I'm not gonna anyway. But, I don't know. I don't want to, I think Steve has an interesting one. So I think I want Steve to go first here.
So, everyone at home, you'll like Meat Boy and Celeste, and the end is nigh. You're all full of shit. Those games aren't fun. I'm sorry, they're not. Where you need to just play, where you just need to hop at just so precisely, where you don't get to, and you just keep dying again and again and again. They're not fun. I don't know how they're why you all keep saying they're fun, and I'm sick of pretending that they are. Celeste had a very important story to tell, and you know what I did? 3 or 4 levels in, I went into the menu and I said, "No more deaths, infinite jumps. Okay, let's go see the rest."
I didn't know you did that. I just thought you didn't play the rest of the game, because I remember you complaining about it before. But
and with Celeste, I think there's a very good story reason to turn those things on, but I won't get into that today because right now I'm complaining.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, that is basically where it begins and ends. Do you people like Meat Boy in these games?
I liked Meat Boy better than Celeste. Meat Boy is a little bit faster paced. When you die, you can start Meat Boy over in like 0.2 seconds and get almost to where you died in another, 3 or 4 seconds. I feel like that kind of alleviates that frustration when it's something that fast paced.
I don't like Meat Boy at all. However, I really like Celeste. So for me, it's a case-by-case basis. I understand what you're saying, though, because I say this shit all the time. This is how I feel about Mega Man 9 and why that game's a piece of shit. And, because, it came out at a time where, we weren't doing all this, indie retro revival stuff, but, people were like, oh, back then you had to make pixel-perfect jumps and have all that. No, you didn't. Mega Man 9 is just, unfair. It's not fun. Inti Creates forgets that sometimes. They forgot it again with Curse of the Moon 2. One of the worst games I've ever made. right? They don't always get it right. They often do, and they got it right with Mega Man 10. Mega Man 9, they did not. And like, so like, I agree with you sometimes, especially with the indie projects though. Yeah, it can be a little too pixel perfecty. Meat Boy is not my jam. I did like Celeste though. But how do you feel about things that are just assholish? Like, see, I would extend this to stuff like 1001 spikes, or you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just like too much. Like I don't really think that stuff is fun. But
See, I can deal with something with like Mega Man 9 because eventually you get things like you have the rush coil and the rush jet, and you have solutions to problems. Here is like, no, you play this way or you don't play at all, and that's not fun.
I guess so. I get you.
That's like playing with a little kid who just made up a game, and it's like, no, we're playing the game this way. Like,
No,
and that's fine when the kid's 5 years old, and we're just trying to keep them entertained for the afternoon, but not when you're selling me a product that I paid you money for.
I definitely don't feel that way about Celeste. I don't even necessarily feel that way about Meat Boy, but it's just not for me. I don't think the game's a piece of crap though, or anything. I guess I'll go next. Guys, Mega Man X7 is like kind of good. Like I always hear it's like
through it this year.
I always hear it's like one of the worst games of all time. It's not. That's Mega Man X6, by the way. I feel like, look, so I wish we were doing a show when Capcom announced the Mega Man X collections where they had 1 through 4 on one and then 5 through 8 on the other one. We were like, they can't do that. They just can't do that. No way they can do that. They did it. And like, if we're just going to talk about X5 through X8, X7 is the best of those. X5 sucks. X6 is Mega Man X6 is genuinely one of the worst games I have ever played. Ever. And I used to like Mega Man X8 back in the day, and then I played it again on the compilation a few years ago, and I'm like, no, that wasn't actually very good at all. I don't know what I was thinking. Here's the thing about Mega Man X7. Everyone talks about, like, it's, you know, because it's the first one they let you move around in, like, 3D space or whatever, but you still have, like, 2D sections, but then you have these, like, wide open 3D sections. They don't control bad. They don't, like, look bad. It's that, remember, like, in the very early days of the PS1 N64, the 3D experiments, we didn't really know everything yet. We didn't have an analog stick even when it comes to the PS1, right? So, like, things were real. You had tank controls, right? That's what Mega Man X7 is. It feels like a 3D game made in 1995. Now, does that mean it's bad? No, it's just incredibly dated. Does that mean it's inappropriate for a Mega Man X game? Absolutely. I'll never deny that. But just as, like, a game that functions and exists, it's fine. I'm not saying I like, okay, the fact that I like it as, like, other factors. I think the music's incredible. I just put one up for Jam of the Week. I think the character designs and, like, the 3D models are, like, really cool looking. And like the concepts for, like, stages and stuff, which is always, like, the bread and butter of Mega Man X, that stuff is good too. Like, all that stuff is there. So, like, as a video game, it's not that fucking bad. Like, again, people act like it's, like, one of the worst games of all time. It's not. I'm not saying you have to like it like I do. And again, by like, I mean, I'm using that term, like, very, very loosely. But if we're going to talk about, like, especially, like, later in the series Mega Man X games, that's the best one there is. And again, I understand the bar is low, but, like, come on, guys. Like, do you ever, okay, let me put it this way. Like, things that people consider, like, the worst games of all time, and I'm not talking about stuff like Big Rigs Racing or whatever. I'm talking about, like, E.T. There's a lot worse games you could play in Atari 2600 than E.T. Like, I'm not saying E.T. is great, but, like, you can find a lot worse. You can find a lot worse than, like, you know, a lot of these games put up there. Don't you find that to be the case? Like, oh, haha, I've always heard this. Like, Sonic 2006, like, isn't good, but I think it's better than a lot of, like, bottom of the barrel trash. Does that I mean, you guys feel that way? Whatever gets, like, that reputation, it's like, is it really that bad? In the case
I
of like
agree,
Mega Man
but
X7, I don't think it is.
I agree, but you're still having a hard time trying to sell me when Collection 1 has two of the best Mega Man games ever made, and then there's still X Legacy Collection 2, which has X5, X6, X7, and X8.
I will never, ever in my life suggest anyone actually play these games. I will never recommend them to anybody. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, in the grand scheme of things, it ain't that bad. There's stuff to like about it. There's nothing to like about X5 or X6. There's nothing. At least with X7, I can glom onto something. I don't know. So like I guess what I'm trying to say is I was like prepared for the worst when we went into that. It didn't happen. Anyway, but that's my spiel. Justice for Mega Man X7, please. Everybody. Kevin, how unpopular do you want to be now?
Oh, I'm just glad that you didn't call on me to ask my opinions about Mega Man X7.
Oh, I would never do such a thing.
Giant video game poser, and I don't even know what console it's on, if I'm being completely honest.
Really? It was on PS2.
I know like absolutely fuck all about Mega Man, like literally nothing.
It was the first Mega Man X game on PS2. That's why they try to do like 3D graphics and shit. That's why anyway.
Okay. Well, I'm with you, man. Justice for Mega Man X7 sounds like a good game. All right,
I'll play it sometime this year, and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, you won't agree. You never agree about the mediocre games, but we'll see. Maybe you will.
Okay, it's been a long time since I've got to do Unpopular Opinions, and I'm selfish, so I'm going to do two. The first one's pretty quick. I actually like how the Xbox controller uses AA batteries. I wish all the fucking controllers used AA batteries.
Really?
Nobody else likes that, but you know what? Especially PlayStation 4 controller, PlayStation 5 controllers, they go dead so often. I spend so much fucking time with the cord. Like, I'm way too far away to charge it on the console, so I've got a cord like wrapped around my arm, like plugged into the wall outlet. It's a pain in the ass. My Xbox controller goes dead like once a month because the batteries last forever. I get up, I walk to the kitchen, I grab two more AA batteries that cost like $1, and I pop them in the Xbox controller, and I'm good for another month. You make the argument that it's, bad for the environment. I think in the grand scheme of things, probably the power that I'm using to run the Xbox is substantially worse, I would assume, than those two AA batteries.
I think really gonna,
No, that's not. If I'm going through 24 AA batteries a month to play Xbox, not a big deal. Totally worth it to me. So
wow.
My Wavebirds also like AA batteries, so
everybody should. Although if PlayStation would have used AA batteries, I'd be getting AA batteries like 3 times every time I fucking played games.
Like back in the Game Boy days, I had like a rechargeable battery set when I was a kid, and that was like a big money saver, right? Because you remember those, right? You put them in a little container, and they don't work as well as like quote unquote real batteries, but I mean like for my kid purposes, going through like playing Game Boy all day, right? Like it worked.
Oh yeah, I remember having my Game Boys just plugged into the like third party AC charger that you could have in and run without batteries.
Did those work? I never had one of those.
Yeah, I ran one. It was great.
No, I was just going to say, even with Adam, that the Game Boy did just fine with AA's or even AAA's later with the Pocket.
Yeah, I guess they did up that. But yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just funny to make fun of. Oh, haha, batteries, right? Like, it's not... I mean, I don't particularly give a shit. I don't even have an Xbox anyway. It's just, like, funny to... I mean, I saw the joke yesterday when, like, oh, Sony's going to acquire Duracell, so Xbox players can't use batteries. Ah, you know what I mean? Like, I saw... it's always the joke, right? Like, so...
I don't know. I just don't think it's funny because I think the batteries are great.
Okay.
All right. I gotta move on to my next one because this one's a lot more depressing and nobody's going to think that's funny. It's just kind of sad. I cannot get excited for Breath of the Wild 2, and I haven't even wanted to like admit that to you guys, but I just can't. And I in my adult life, Breath of the Wild was hands down my favorite game. I had like a fucking religious experience with that game. I think that's the best thing. I think Breath of the Wild is my favorite 3D game ever. I love that game. So when I played that game, I like soaked it for all it was worth. I did all of the shrines. I did all the DLC. I got the fucking horse motorbike and everything. And then a couple years after, I deleted my save file because you can't have multiple save files. And I was like, oh, I'm going to play through Breath of the Wild again. And I played through the Great Plateau part, and then I turned it off. And I just thought this was like a once in a lifetime thing for me. And even thinking about Breath of the Wild 2, all I can think about is I don't feel like I'm going to be able to like recapture that same magic. If I think about like if Mario Odyssey 2 is going to come out, I would be super stoked about that. I just there's something about Breath of the Wild that I just like feel, and I don't even think it's a game that can't do with a sequel. It's just I have it built up so much in my mind. I think that regardless of what Breath of the Wild 2 does, it's just never gonna like live up to that experience. So I almost don't think it's, I don't know. I'm definitely gonna get it day one and play it. I can't get on that same hype train that everybody else is on.
That's an interesting one. Obviously, I really like Breath of the Wild as well. I am excited for Breath of the Wild 2, but I also work a little differently in the sense that like I don't get myself super hyped. I like when something's about to come out, sure. Very few times do I like really anticipate a game like that where I'm like looking at stuff about it all the time and stuff like I did that with like Smash Ultimate, right? But I don't ever typically do stuff like that. So I get you from that angle, but like it's tough, right? Because it's the Mario Sunshine problem, right? Like you had Mario 64 before it. What the fuck are you gonna do? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do? Koji Kondo said it himself, like when he was composing Mario 3. It's like I just made the most iconic like video game song there is. What the fuck am I gonna do now? I don't know. I guess I'll just make some more music, right? And look at that. That's iconic too, isn't it? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yeah, Breath of the Wild 2 may or may not mean whatever that first one meant to you, but I think when it comes out and it's here, I think you will feel differently because it's here. You know what I mean? Right now, it's so far away.
Yeah, I don't know. Like looking at it now, as good as I think like that entire package is, like everything that goes into that game, I would almost rather them do something of a lesser quality but different, just because I don't feel for me it's gonna like match what I want it to.
It probably won't. Obviously,
they spent way too much time on Breath of the Wild to not reuse it at least once.
I don't know. I'm not excited right now either. I'm not like, you know what I mean? But also, like, look, I like Breath of the Wild a lot, but probably not on that level. You're talking about you know what I mean? Like, I really enjoy the game, but you're even more. So I just think like, yeah, I'm looking forward to another, especially since it's been so fucking long. It's been almost 5 years, and it's going to be longer than that by the time when it comes out, right? So it's been a long time. I'm ready. It's like, look, like how people felt about like Fallout 3, right? Like that was like 2008. And then New Vegas comes along like 2 years later and kind of just, in my opinion, blows that off the map. I think New Vegas is like, right. You know what I mean? But you would never, like when Fallout 3 was happening, I never thought like, okay, then what are they going to do? Like really, they're bringing out another game already? How is it going to be better than that? It is. Right? But I wasn't like super anticipating this thing. So I think it's okay that you're not doing that. But like I said, I think when it comes out, you will be there. That's my prediction.
Look,
for you.
I shouldn't have even said this because I've turned this into an intervention. Everybody's sad. Everybody's depressed. Everybody's going like, no. How did we invite this fucking guy to podcast with us again? He doesn't even want to play Breath of the Wild 2.
Didn't you hear my teaser episode? I said we're big Nintendo fans. You better get fucking hype, goddammit.
Hold on there. As the guy that's like, who has the siren waiting for Zelda announcements, I already know what's causing most of Kevin's anxiety. He got as you may recall, he got burned 2 weeks ago playing Skyward Sword HD.
Well, that's what's
really causing all of this.
He should have known better. He shouldn't have done that to himself.
Look, I'm going to do it to myself sometime eventually too, but
that is suspicious timing because right around E3, Skyward Sword HD came out, and that's when they're starting to try to like build hype for Breath of the Wild 2. And I'm just getting pissier and pissier with Zelda. Maybe Steve's onto something.
Oh my god. Maybe you just need to play like I don't know. If you played like Coco Life or something, would you be sour on Animal Crossing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I just killed Steve.
I might say I never want to play Animal Crossing again. Hope life is amazing.
Steve just had a moment.
I thought that game was killed.
I only remembered it because he talked about it so much. That's the only reason why I remember, because we made so many jokes about it.
I could have sworn they dragged that game out back and shot it.
What's that game I kept showing you guys? I kept getting ads for with fake ass Fred Flintstone. And like, you remember that shit? Like, yeah. Yes. And his name was like Bruce.
Some kind of war game.
No, it was like a Farmville kind of.
Yeah.
He was an attractive looking man, I thought.
I mean, because he was you, basically.
It was like if Cartoon Kevin was cousins with Fred Flintstone.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You guys are onto my shtick.
Oh man, if there's a single person out there listening to the sound of my voice and you played Mega Man X7 and you were afraid to admit it because everyone just said how bad it was and you can't speak up, just know you have a friend in me. I'm telling you right now. Maybe we'll have to start a secret society of Mega Man X7 likers or something, but anyway, I think that's about it here for this episode of Fine Time. Remember, you can go to our Twitter handle, Fine Time Podcast, and you'll find those pictures we were playing the game with. I think it's fun enough to play along anyway. But if you really want to see the images, they're going to be there. If you want to follow the three of us on Twitter, also go to Fine Time Podcast. Our three names are in the bio. And next week, we're going to have our first bonus episode. Me and Steve watched the Dynasty Warriors movie, and we talked about it. And it was fun, and I want you guys to check that out next week, so we'll have a little supplemental material. Other than that, I think we're good.
There will be a test in episode 3?
No, there will not be. Don't listen to him at all.
Oh, okay.
There might be a test about something else, but not about Dynasty Warriors. But yes, see you guys later. Bye.